Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of A to Z. This is a show where me and Aaron talk. For those of you who aren't aware of who we are, I'm Zio Remsen. I'll be your resident yang. That means I'm going to be the airy fairy, positive, rainbow colored glasses, goofy one. And Aaron is your resident yin, the realistic, the pessimistic, the actual, the factual, the person. And we're very similar in the core of who we are, but because the world is the world and things happen to us, we both have grown into separate people. And this podcast is where we come together and talk via our perspectives on what's happening and in the world and in our lives. And today is a special episode because something happened in Aaron's life that he wants to share with the rest of the class. So I'll let Aaron take it away from here because I'm tired from the nap that I took. So I'll wake up at some point.
And I'm going to sleep as soon as this is done.
It's nighttime. That's also why this is special. We usually do this like mid-afternoon. It
Yeah.
is currently 9:53. How old are we that I'm tired at 9 o'clock?
I think that 2020 and subsequently 2021 has aged us at least a decade.
Fun.
Um,
I like being 38, 37.
it's all right. So it's January 6th, which I think will be a day that will now live in American history infamy. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
I gotta say I think these people have, not to say they haven't jumped the shark so many times, but I think this is they're have you seen
I might just give an overview because I know there are people who are in America who know what's happening and is the thing, but sometimes as America we get very focused on ourselves, and there are people from you've been learning all around the world that watch this stuff. We had a girl from France in the last episode. So as a real quick recap, what's happening right now?
They're certifying the election for Joe Biden to become the president officially.
Okay.
Donald Trump.
That means he's getting like sworn in, essentially.
That essentially means he is officially the president, would have been today.
And usually what happens when this happens is like, it's kind of a nice event where people, like, even from the other sides, we all come together and like he says his whole, is this when he says the oath and thing? Or
no, that's on the 20th.
Okay, so this is like the before doing that, before he gets sworn in.
Yeah. So he was supposed, which would make it legally official at this point. Donald Trump has been gaslighting people for the past 4 years, and it has not stopped since he's become president. And so his supporters believed that this election was stolen, and that the deep state and the lizard people are trying to take their guns and rape and abort their children.
Right.
And so they have decided to express their frustration through heavily arming themselves, storming the Capitol building where the Electoral College was together, and they seem to be there to just be terrorists, to bomb it, to shoot people, to kidnap people, to take documents and show them to QAnon or whatever. And so that's, and a woman's dead. A woman got shot in the chest or the neck, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the police do not seem to be treating them the same as they treated the Black Lives Matter movement over the summer. And I think that about sums it up.
And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good summation. I will add in, it depends on what media you're taking in. If you watch their stuff from their side, like the people on the streets, they're at the very least, again, I don't know, but from the videos that I'm seeing of them, which again, on the other side of the coin, it does become that thing where like when the situation is flipped, it's like, though then again, I feel like obviously Black Lives Matter movement, it's a movement, and this is just, we didn't get what we wanted. But that's a whole nother thing. I've seen some videos where people are like, "Oh, I got sprayed, I got like gassed or whatever," and it's like, yeah, you're storming a building with weapons, a
Yeah.
political building with weapons. And I will say, there's a difference between doing that and standing in the streets, which,
Yeah.
again, to be fair, the other side has brought up when Donald Trump was originally elected. There were some babies from the side of didn't like that Hillary lost that also like protested in the middle of streets and highways and stuff, but it wasn't like storming buildings with weapons. But every side has its whole story and to do, but neither here nor there. All I'm saying is that they haven't been treated like the Black Lives Matter movement, but they're not getting stuff happening to them. It's just obviously it's one of the things that I find the most fascinating, and then I'll let you go because again, this is more of a you thing. But the thing that I find fascinating is when it comes to the media, as it were. Again, and to be fair, you can make hard arguments because depending on where you're sitting and who you're surrounding yourself with, both are kind of echo chambers. But when you look at the media, like artists and art usually don't fall conservative in innately the nature that it is. And because most media is art, a lot of it does fall very left, essentially. And so there's a reason we all think that the general population before the election of Trump, like the general population was like, we're better now, is because like the media was pretty left leaning, unless you were looking at like Fox News. But if you're watching any like comedy or art thing, then they're pretty like, yeah, we want to try something different because that's the innate nature of art. And I find it fascinating to like look at their story from inside, like as them. And it's like, I get why they think that their thing is oppression, even though I feel like it's not. Okay, go ahead.
I would say pretty objectively, this is white privilege being put on an absolute pedestal. I have seen some of the clips of them getting pepper sprayed, and I know a lady hit one of the guards, like a white lady from the Trump side hit a black woman who was a security guard, and she fucking punched her in the face, and now they're looking for her. I know that there was one security guy when they were actually getting in with a baton, so I saw that video. So he was swinging at them, but he was completely outnumbered. I saw, what else did I see? I saw a lady get upset because she said she was pepper sprayed. And I think those were all the videos I saw of them being responded to it all. I also saw them taking selfies with police officers. I saw a point where the police literally opened the gate and stood out of their way and let them walk in. I saw lines of them walking in and moving, you know, those little movie, the shit at the bank that makes the line.
The velvet rope?
Yeah, the velvet rope. Yeah, I saw them literally moving a velvet rope a little further so more of them could funnel themselves in. And I would say, objectively at this point, they are the villains. I mean, I understand what this podcast is. So obviously, you're supposed to do the thing that you do, and I understand that. But I would say that history will look back on these people as the objective villains, I hope. And if they don't, then things have gone very awry. I think I've just gotten to a point where it's similar to how I felt with that last thing with my mom. Remember that?
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, okay, you've taken this so astronomically far. you have taken this in a way that is beyond what anyone ever would have comprehended when Trump was getting into office. I remember the jokes, and we understood the jokes, but I don't think any of us ever really could have imagined this in 2016. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would say that they have officially, without question, crossed the line into evil, I would say. And at this point, after seeing this, if you're still like, well, I support Trump, but I just don't support them, like, okay, then you support Darth Vader and you don't support the stormtroopers. Good for you. Like, cool. It is crazy. It is truly crazy. All right, go ahead. What does the positive side have to say about this?
Same stuff that's always been, right? It's a very meta situation where the obviously, again, it's pretty obvious where most people fall on most issues when it comes to certain things, when it comes to certain labels, when it comes to how it's perceived. A lot of those things, they all come to a head. And again, I won't necessarily fully disagree that, again, there is a lot of like privilege being kind of flexed here, where the way they're being treated is, for lack of a better term, different than how the Black Lives Matter movement was treated. And it's very interesting that so closely together that these things can be compared and looked at. And it's like the multiple videos of like gas cans and pepper sprays and all the like videos of beatings and like shootings and all that stuff during what were called or understood to be peaceful protests. And conversely, this, which has been by and large like pretty aggressive, like by and large pretty like forcefully coming at exactly like more on the nose than like a metaphor. It's like they're genuinely attacking a political building, and it's like, well, they have their rights to, do their thing. And it's such a like subtle, not subtle, where it's like if you look at it from baseline points, then it does feel like such an inconsistent. It's where you get to where it's like, well, the villains are the villains, right? It's like they're doing the bad thing that the people from my side would never do. And I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, absolutely. And like, I believe, again, a vocal minority that's super heinous and horrible shouldn't speak for the majority that support a guy. And even, I don't know, because like, yeah, that is the thing. It's like when he transcended regular politician, where it's beyond like a politician and like trying to get votes.
He's like, a dictator. He's being a dictator, like objectively being a dictator.
I think that's the thing. I think people give him too much credit. I think people want to believe that he's this stupid, but at the same time, really smart guy.
Just to be clear, I'm not saying, when I say he's a dictator, I don't mean he's smart. I mean, he is saying he is objectively, this election was not rigged. And he has been gaslighting people for a long time. Right. He has gotten to a point where the only person that any of these people will believe is Donald Trump.
Right.
He is lying to them, and he's saying, no, I won, when he objectively, by the numbers and facts, did not. And he's saying, take over go storm down the street and take over the Capitol building. I should still be president. Now, I'm not saying it's smart. I'm not saying he's smart. I'm saying that is dictator behavior.
Well, I'm saying, so and I'm gonna go ahead and Google this just to fact check myself. Did he give them the orders to storm the Capitol building?
Yep.
Huh. That's fascinating.
He said, walk down Pennsylvania, take it by force, I think, something like that. He said that there are weak Republicans and you're the strong Republicans. so on and so forth. And even if he didn't, even if you say,
And even if this is all out of context, and this
even
is
like really though, who he is the high person. So we're talking about all of this stuff. This is a podcast. I guess I'll do my version of the introducing the podcast. Hey, this is A to Z. Zero. That's Zero. He's above me right now. Hi, I'm Aaron. And this is our podcast we do. We're going to be putting it up on the Buddy System Comedy. We have a bunch of other podcasts there if you want to check it out. The theme of this is the term villain and evil are in themselves subjective labels because they're based on the side one chooses. That's Alex.
When did this start? This started today.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple things, but yeah, go ahead and explain.
Basically that even if let's say I'm wrong with everything I just said, that he did not directly today say go storm the Capitol building. I mean, does it matter really at this point? Like, does it matter if what I just said was wrong? Is this not clearly his fucking fault?
It's a meta issue. This is where this is why I exist here. Is because that in a very meta way, and I know I abuse the mess out of the word meta, but in a very meta way, it isn't. He did what he had to do as Donald Trump. He did what he had to do to win the election. Originally, his first run, when he was going up against Hillary. What he had to do, again, and like if you step outside of the evil that you feel that he is in your heart, right? Understand that he is a reality TV show star. He is a very wealthy man, very well off, but he had no political background. In order to win the presidency, he was never going to do it by playing the same political game as everybody else. He had to do it in the way that he did it. And if that meant, and again, the reason he's even good at it is because he's a businessman. It's kind of that weird thing where, like, notice most politicians, again, we go down the rabbit hole where it's like, who becomes a cop? Two type of people. Somebody who wants power or somebody who's trying to actually do good by the community. We all know, as much as I'd love to believe, it's a lot of people, number two, it's also a lot of people who are number one. And it's like they want power, so they go and take that job. In the same way, being a politician, being in that world, usually they're not like, oh, we hired somebody, like we elected somebody who's good with the people. You hire somebody who's good at convincing people that they're good. Like most of them are lawyers and business people. He's a top tier businessman. He knows how to move people. When you know how to move people, that's what you do. So he did what he had to do to move the people who were the closest to his belief system. With the things in Donald Trump's head, he was never going to be a Democrat. He was never going to run. When you know it's a two-party system, we all can agree the two-party system is what's going on. And when you have to choose between side one and side two, he had to go to Republican because that's the closest to his belief system. When he was in that world, he can't fight the battle how they fight the battle. He has to fight it as him. And if he's fighting it as him, he knows you put on a good show and people will vote for you. He did that. He knows how to move people. He keeps moving people. And it is his fault that that's what he had to do. And like, that's what he did. But at the same time, that it's an innate progression that people would take that from being like, oh, I trust him to lead us, to like, he is an all-knowing, all-powerful. He is my ideology. I live by this guy. I die by this guy. And when you transcend that, it's like, this is going to be a rough comparison. So I mean this in the best. I can't enough preface the next statement I'm going to say. But if we had a Martin Luther King of some sort around right now, right? For the left side, there was somebody who was so good that they are on him like we're on Martin Luther King, like he has a holiday, he's the dude. if we had that guy and then he was leading, there's a lot of people, even if not you, if not me, that would be like, that's the dude. I'll live and die by that dude. There are people that would do that and have done that. He's their version. He's their version of that guy. So when that guy feels like he got duped, he got tricked, he got used, which is his mentality, because, I mean, that's how he won in the first place. He had to win by being that. Then, like, of course he's not gonna, he's been a baby the entire time he was president. He's been a baby the whole time he was running for president. So what were the odds that as he was losing, that he wouldn't go to, like, the little kid version of, like, well, I didn't win. No, I did win. No, I did win. And they stole it from me. I did win. And then his people are like, oh, no, my guy, my dude, my soul, the blood of my blood, the heart of my heart. Like, they stole it from him. I feel ousted. What do? Well, we'll do the same thing that they did. We'll stand up for our thing. This is them standing up for their thing. And as much as we could not like it, like, you cannot like it, it could be totally unjustifiable in a lot of ways. There's another side of it where you got to look past the, like, no participation trophies in this race. It's like that is the overarching, what it has to, we all have to grow up and be like, hey, that is what it is, accept things for what they are. At the same time.
Sorry. Oh, I would say the first thing is, I'm not surprised. Everything you just said about, like, we shouldn't be surprised when we get to this place. I'm not surprised. I'm used to white people being white people doing white people shit. This is white people shit. To be able to go in there with no mask, not hiding your face at all, and just steal shit and be taken pictures of and be smiling and waving, and then be like, I guess I'm going to leave now. That's white people shit. At bare minimum, black people wear ski masks. Jesus Christ. Like, the balls on you. Then the second, you're going in with war paint like you're at a fucking football game, like you're at a Raider game. Like, it's really crazy. So in terms of what they're doing, I'm not surprised. And I understand that they think that they are right. I understand that from their perspective, they're doing the right thing and the moral, godly, justice thing. I understand that. And I understand on a philosophical level, yep, you could say, well, I think I'm right. And this is a subjective perspective game. Yep, philosophically, yes. But there are nooses and giant crosses on the Capitol building. There's this black church that put up a Black Lives Matter sign, and then two Trump people reenacted the George Floyd murder out of disrespect towards it. Yeah, philosophically, yep, we could do this whole tennis match, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if we all use any sense of logic or critical thinking skills or any sort of empathy, like real empathy, I understand that I can, like, we're arguing empathy for these people. I understand that. But if we just look around here, look at this, this is crazy. And we did a Stand By Me train dodge of an actual fascist dictatorship, like a real one. And that is so horrifying. And the fact that half of the country still backed this guy, that their line was, oh, well, you can't storm the Capitol. But that's the line. That it wasn't kids in cages or the grab them by the pussy or the anti-Black Lives Matter or the countless laws that have been broken or the fighting with Kim Jong-un about pressing the nuclear button or the stuff with Putin and Russia, and it can go on and on and on. That all of that can happen. And remember what Obama's, all of his gaffes, none of which happened, and how angry they were. They can accept all of that, but their line was just teetering on, we are in an actual dictatorship, and actual genocide could come from this if given enough gas and if it kept fucking going. And at this point, I don't think that's hyperbolic or crazy to say, because if I were to say this was going to happen in 2016, you'd be like, Aaron, that's insane. But here we are. So that shit is not off the table at this point, and I think we dodged a bullet. The end.
Okay. For me, representing the side that I have to represent,
You don't
which
have
is
to. You can just.
I absolutely have to. It's because we need to transcend. And I think this back and forth that's been happening between the sides is it's like yes and no for both. It's like depending on what side you're on, depending on what media you consume, depending on what this or that. Like because I have Republican friends, because I have people who fall in that line, I actually have the good discourse with them, and they bring up some very fair points. As much as like if you sit on the side and you go like, everybody look at their thing is bad and my thing is justified. It's super easy to do that. It's so easy to do that. How easy is it for you to freaking what danger do you have in like agreeing with the entirety of media? The entirety of media is like, that guy's bad. That guy's bad. And isn't he bad? Look at how they treated these people. Hey, like, it's so easy to be like, the cops are evil, to be like, Republicans are evil. I don't believe that. I believe there are people who, like, yeah, you make some mess up. Obviously, there's some people in there that are not okay. The people who are making the reenactment of the George Floyd thing, they're not okay. They're not good. It's bad. We know that. We know that. And the people who are repping their side aren't like, yeah, you know what? I like that. I like what they're doing. It's kind of the same way as like, if you look back at our stuff, you don't think they have a bunch. If I Googled it right now, how hard do you think if I started Googling enough that the algorithm picked me up and it was like, oh, you lean this way. Here's the media that you want. If I started going down the echo chamber of what they have, you don't think there's footage from the Black Lives Matter movement of the side of Black Lives Matter peaceful protesters doing stuff to perfectly good, trying to abide by the law people? Like, you could find that stuff. Each side is, the problem is you're dealing with human beings. Every side has everything. And because you're on the side where, obviously, you're gonna fall towards the side that most echoes you. You were never going to be the black guy supporting that side. The few that are very different people. They're very different people. And I am very fascinated by them. I, again, want to look into what their whole thing is, because all of that is always interesting to me, that it goes deeper. As I've always said before, it goes deeper than like the people who stormed the building and the crosses and all this stuff. It's like, don't you find it a little bit like, isn't that the cartooniness, that it's like that on the nose racist, and they must all be that because you support Trump, because you wear the hat? There's no way that Trump is just a guy who wanted to win and then did his best. Because again, he has no political background. He freaking went into the government at the highest level and then tried his darndest with his crazy ideas. And then the people who repped him getting in just kept repping him getting in, going like, you know how they talk about like a celebrity in general, like a Bieber or like a little kid, and like your whole life you're just hearing, yes, you're dope, yes, you're awesome, yes, do it. And he already had that in his head. It's like he just kept doing what he's doing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, here's my thing to you. Do you believe that Trump himself, is there a world where he's not a maniacal person?
What do you mean?
In the way that, is there a world where you could let in the possibility that he's not this evil dictator, that he's just another dude who got to a level of power that he didn't know what he was doing and tried his best, but because he doesn't he doesn't, in the same way that like Kevin Hart didn't bend the knee to the like smashing the gay dollhouse over his kid's head. In the same way, as a comedian, you would not apologize for certain jokes that you do. Is there a world where Donald Trump is just a guy who refused to play within the media's narrative of doing what they want him to do by playing the game of political correctness?
I think that is the world that we live in right now.
What?
What you just said, that is the world that we live. Everything you just said, that's what we live in right now.
East Coast sign off. Zero, great balance and counterpoints. Aaron, I'm going to send you a reusable water bottle.
Oh, thanks.
How can he get the reusable water bottle? I just get complimented on my points. I want things. I'm kidding. I really would have no use for a water bottle. But
everything you just said, that's this world. He is all those things.
So you're saying he's not evil?
I'm saying that the behavior and the rhetoric and the belief system and the mental illness all combined, all together, all of this stuff is evil. I agree. He's just a dude that fucking Forrest Gumped his way to power.
Okay.
But what does that say about our system? What does that say about half of this country and their belief system and their critical thinking skills?
That's the thing. I think it says that humans are humans. That like he's just good at the game on his side. That like there is equally a Donald Trump for the left side.
Yes.
We just haven't met them.
Okay. Well, we're not dealing with that right now. We're dealing with the Capitol building being stormed today.
Right, but when you look at but that's the problem, is when you separate it and you go like, oh, we could never. How could we ever? That's the thing.
I'm never saying it's never. I'm saying that's entirely possible, and I think that is probably has happened at some point. I don't like the Democratic Party either. What I'm saying is this has gotten to a place where, yeah, it is totally possible that that pendulum can swing to the exact opposite extreme, that politics becomes a loop at a certain point. Absolutely. But right now, we're not in a loop. We're dealing with this group of crazy people that needs to be dealt with. I'm being present. Presently speaking, this is the issue. All the stuff you're saying is absolutely right. But it does not mean it's okay. It doesn't mean it should be excused. And it's showing glaring holes in our entire system and our culture as a whole. It's proving white privilege and systematic racism in a way that makes me disgusted that I even say it that way. Like I have talked to, they're not my friends, but I talk to Trump supporters all the time on the street, all the time. I talk to reasonable ones, and I talk to crazy ones, and everything in between. So I know all of their rhetoric. I know their responses. I know empathy. I know that I could very easily say, well, these people have been fed a bunch of information through an algorithm in the same way that I'm sure I have. They've grown up with a belief system that they have. They've grown up looking the way they have within their environment. They have seen the things that they've seen, and that's shaped who they are as a person. And as time goes on, that builds your personality through your experiences and a little bit of who you are naturally. It's nature and nurture, and it's mixed. I think that the past 4 years, there's a lot of ego checking that comes when you realize, if you're reasonable, that this guy probably wasn't the best for the job, but liberals kept making fun of you. So you just stuck to your ego. You stuck to your guns. And I think that you continue to stick to your guns. But I think at a certain point, when you're dealing with this many adults, you have to draw a line. And I don't know where the line needed to be drawn within this 4 years. I understand how he got here. And I think it's disturbing and it's stupid. But I understand how he got here. I understand how we got here through a long amount of time of gaslighting and taking in specific information for them and so on and so forth. I understand all of that.
Okay.
At a certain point, when you are getting guns and you're going to storm the Capitol building to steal a fair election from the people that voted, specifically trying to manipulate the black vote to stop or suppress them, so on. I mean, you can list so many things. At a certain point, you have to draw a line and you have to say, I understand why you got here. I understand your perspective. I understand where you're coming from, but this isn't okay. This needs to stop. And this is very evil.
That's the thing, is that, and then that's where we separate, is I don't view it as evil. When you put all those things into perspective, I don't consider it evil. I consider it, this is where they got to. This is where they got to. It's not, I wouldn't say it's good. It's not good. It's not acceptable. We shouldn't accept this behavior. Obviously, everybody needs to be punished for what they're doing. That's bad, right? When we start taking weapons to a government building, we have a problem. But everything up to that line, perfectly within your legal right to do. Absolutely.
I never said it wasn't in your legal right, but morally and ethically, at a certain point, when you see what we're seeing here, you have to at least, like literally what I was able to do. You know me and you know my life. And the fact that I was able to say, I could take myself out of myself, lay it out. I understand. I've been doing this for years with these people. I understand. Yep. Perspective. I just did it right there. And I know that not everyone has the same capacity that I have to assume or act as though everyone needs to have the same mental or emotional or empathetic capacity would not be reasonable. But if you don't have that empathetic capacity, to me, there grows a level of evil. So I have a question, and that is, at what point would you say, okay, we're an evil town now? What would they have to do?
What would they have to do?
What would they have to do for you to say, this is evil?
For them to say this is evil.
For you to say this is evil.
For me to say this is evil?
For you to say, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it would have to be, I think they'd have to be like raping children. I think you'd have to be raping children. I think that would be the line where I go, I don't care how you got there. Like that for me is unjustifiable.
What if they were raped themselves and they're acting out that impulse?
Because for me, at that point where you decide to take it on somebody who I can fully say is innocent, without I don't need any more information than they are a child, then at that point I would say evil.
But
I can that for me that's unjustifiable. That's my line.
Okay, but you know that how they got there. They were molested as a kid, and they're now acting out that same stuff. So the same logic of they're doing something that is reprehensible, and we can all agree that what they're doing right now is reprehensible. We all understand how they got there. Same logic with the kid fucking. That is reprehensible, but I understand how he got there. So what is the difference?
The difference for me is a kid there's no gray area at which you could give me a point where I'd go, you know what, that kid deserved it. Like,
do you believe that George Floyd deserved it?
I don't think he deserved it, but I think there's a world where I can oopsie doopsie. I could see an accident happening. Okay. I can't see a person accidentally raping a kid. I can see you accidentally killing George Floyd. Did you
see the video?
Yeah, and I've seen several breakdowns of the video. And the footage before the video actually from the people. And the articles that were written from every side of it. Like, if you go down the rabbit hole on every side, both sides have very fair points.
I guess I understand you, but that logic is incredibly disturbing. Yeah. Because that's a dead person who didn't get a trial, who, all the stuff. Yeah. And to describe it as an oopsie doopsie is
like, dude, car accidents happen. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I'll use Trayvon Martin then as an example. Does Trayvon Martin count as an oopsie doopsie?
Trayvon Martin doesn't count as an oopsie doopsie because Trayvon Martin was I'm going to follow him and I'm going to go get him and I'm going to go out of my way.
Okay.
Whereas I can believe that an officer in a line of duty with a person who's talking the way that he was talking and the way that it was behaving, I could see that.
That is disturbing. That's very disturbing. Yeah, regardless. So your line is kid fucking. Now,
Yeah.
if someone were to say, well, we need to figure out how he got to that point, mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
That doesn't matter. That's wiped out for you. Like, it doesn't matter how he got to the
No, I think we need to study it. And this is why, again, I fall on the side I fall on. I think it's important to learn that so we can grow and change and better, so that we don't have that happen, so we don't repeat the cycle. In the same way that we talk about the pendulum, so that it doesn't swing back the other direction. We go, how did they get here? How did we get here? And we go, oh, let's not do that. Let's learn those lessons.
So I would say the issue here is that I don't believe, I think we've shown that these people will not learn this lesson and they don't care about the lesson.
And that's where we disagree. And that's where I split off. I believe these people, I don't believe these people are unreachable. I don't think these are people who are like without reproach. I think these are people who are like, again, it's the same as the other side. They're just the ones on the losing, and so they're lashing out because they're losing.
I would say it's not the same because and I know that you've gone down all of these rabbit holes, but just outside of all the rabbit holes, without other people's perspective, fucking you do
Black Lives. I can't do outside of other people's perspective, because you need that. You need that. Without other people's perspective,
I'm saying
go ahead.
Your perspective.
Okay, my perspective.
But when I say that, I don't mean like when I say all the stuff that I say, I'm not using leftist policies.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
I'm like, everything I break down is broken down in a way that is outside of those rabbit holes is pretty reasonable. It's reasonable. So just for your perspective of it, outside of these rabbit holes, outside of the media, outside of all of that, is it Black Lives Matter?
Is it Black Lives Matter?
Do you support that?
Yes, obviously.
Okay. Well, I don't know, man. You're just so.
What do you mean you don't know? How could you not know?
You call it the George Floyd thing an oopsie doopsie. That's
yeah, because there's a world where it's an oopsie doopsie.
But this is the world we're living in now.
You just said that you are capable of looking at it outside of you. There's no world where that could have been an accident.
Yeah, I'm not, the thing that is, I guess, frustrating in the way that
I feel like, again, we're on the same side here.
The thing that is frustrating in the way you explain it is you keep saying, is there a world where this, or is there a possibility of this, or what about this, or maybe this universe, this? I understand all of that. Okay. But
you're deciding that this is the universe that you believe because you're on your side. You're on your side of belief. When you see the video, you're in the universe where that was aggressive against Black people. That was police showing their power. That was the racist and systemic thing that's been happening for years. And obviously, it has been happening for years. I'm not sitting here and acting like police haven't taken advantage of people, have taken advantage of places of power. It's always been.
Then I'll expand on it. It doesn't matter. George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Philando Castillo, Brandon, whoever
these
the
are
fuck.
all different things. These are all different things.
And the fact that there's so many, it's like when Bill Cosby started getting accused.
Yes.
At first, it's like, we don't know about, and then you get 50, 60 people. At a certain point, you got to say to yourself, there seems to be an issue here that needs to get fixed.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
So we agree that there is an issue here that needs to get fixed, that
Absolutely.
there is a police brutality issue.
Yes.
We believe that there's a racial issue.
Okay.
Believe that Donald Trump is stoking the flames of that.
I don't think he's a flame stoker. I think he's exactly where I think he knows and believes the same stuff that the people on the left know and believe as far as the police problem, but like he talks about it from the point of view of somebody who like knows policemen are good people and are like believing that it's not a bunch of evil, that it's not like a bunch of evil. Like where he's coming from, as far as I can understand, I don't know him. I shouldn't be speaking for him. But what it seems like, and what it seems like with all of them, is that their perspective on it is that what the people who are Black Lives Matter, right? What we're doing is taking all of these cases of all the human beings, of all the times that cops have killed, regardless, and we're saying when a cop kills a black person, it's bad because they're doing it racially motivated and it was on purpose. But they're going within all of the ones you've listed. There are some of those that aren't what you're saying they are. And we believe that there are some oopsies in there. Like, yes, there are some that are absolutely racially motivated, and we agree on that. But when you then throw in an oopsie and go, all of them are evil, it's like, no, there's some good people in there.
So first off, I never said that all police are evil. And I don't know if you're saying that or what you're saying that's what they believe. But I understand you're talking.
I'm saying, here's another subtlety that I'm picking up on, and I know you're not doing it on purpose. I think, again, I think you're used to having political and debates with like people who are very like from the other end, and so like when I say a thing that's like, yeah, like exactly what you just called, like you took a side and
when you say you, are you saying you or are you saying general you?
No, you specifically. When I Zero am talking to you, Aaron, right now about this thing, this is a side tangent that right now it was like when, oh dang it, now I lost the train of thought. Hold on. What was I saying before all this?
You were saying that the Blue Lives Matter people believe that there are racist police officers, but that some of these are mistakes, and it's unfair to call them all evil because of some of those mistakes.
Well, I lost my point. I'll remember it.
My point is that at a certain point, you get to. I understand all philosophically. Yes, I understand all the things you're saying, but we've gotten to a point where, in reality, just the reality of the situation presently, this has gone too far. This has gone too far when he first got elected, personally, but. Whatever. This has gone too far. This has gone way out of hand. Whether he realizes it or not, he is stoking these flames. These people are clearly getting pumped up by him. When Obama was presidency, whether you liked him or not, he was fucking calm, and these people didn't feel comfortable hanging nooses outside of the Capitol building.
Right.
That's very disturbing.
But then the reason that I have to cut in is because like. You look at what he's doing and you look at how he's acting, aside from the circles that you're in. And it's a hard point to make because, again, I get what you're saying. What you're saying is, yes, you understand all the, like, in another universe, the left side is just as bad. But you're like, we're in this universe, so we don't care about that universe.
It's not that I don't care. I acknowledge
that is irrelevant to what we're doing right now.
At this very moment, right? I'm not fighting Bernie Sanders with an eye patch and a fucking sword and shit. Like right now, this is the issue.
Right. But at the point where you can trickle down and go, this is no one person's thought, then now we're dealing with the idea that's trickling through a bunch of people who are coming from a place. And this is the world we're dealing with. This isn't like, this is just the background that's going on, which helps you deal with these people. Like, obviously, you could go in and use force. You could go in and do exactly, like, again, be even across the board, right? Be the police that you were with Black Lives Matter to these people now. We want you to do it to them now because their thing is we've decided that their thing is now the thing because we've decided this is the real universe, not that universe. Because my things are the things. Their things are not things.
Sorry. I need to. You just said things a lot, and that threw me off.
Okay. Black Lives Matter is real. This is not real.
What do you mean it's not? What do you mean it's not real?
Okay, Black Lives Matter is a movement that legitimately is good. That is a movement that moves us forward, and that when done is a peaceful protest with no problems that was being attacked.
I would say no. That obviously there's people who fuck around and do dumb shit, but I would say as a whole, yeah. As generally speaking, yes, but obviously you can find the nuances, the philosophical bullshit that you're going to use. But yeah.
So as a whole, you're saying this is good.
Generally. Yep, because I know what you're going to do. So yeah, generally.
Okay. But you see my point doesn't not have water. It stands to reason that we're talking as you and me, because your universe is what you believe. Their universe is what they believe. It is the same thing.
I understand. I understand.
It is the same.
I understand that they're living in their universe, and I understand I'm living in my universe. I understand I'm coming from my perspective.
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying is it is not unreasonable for my perspective to be, I don't want to be abused by the cops. I want to be
fair. Was it also reasonable that during the Black Lives Matter protest, when bad things were happening, those few bad people that existed within it, when those were being happened, was it not equally as understandable that the people who own businesses and are just trying to live their lives, get to work or do whatever, that they could feel some kind of way about it? That they're like, I just wanna go to work and not be accosted in my car for what I believe. Let's say I'm just a Republican. It's not even that I really rock with what Trump is. I'm just a Republican. And then I'm going through a Black Lives Matter protest, and I happen to have a sticker that says Republican. And then they turn on me. Some. Again, I'm not talking about the entire movement. I'm just saying, some. That person exists. I'm not talking in another universe, Aaron. I'm not talking in some wacky, crazy world. That person exists right now in this universe, and they've been accosted for being what they are too. And their thing is that they felt the same way you feel about this, about that. It is the same. It's happening at the same time.
So what I would say is the difference here is, first off, I've had this conversation with so many people on Omegle, unfortunately, when I'm advertising. So I already know their perspective, and I talked to some there was Gen Z kids who were in Minnesota during all of it, and they were saying, well, we were scared. And I was like, yep, I understand. So what you just said, that moment, yeah, that makes sense. This is the first time. This is the first time where they're like, this is really uncomfortable. The reason why, and this is going back to the whole explaining how we got here. Yes, I understand you can do the flip side of that. You can say, well, they didn't have those experiences, so therefore their perspective, all of it is different. I understand all of that. I have these conversations with these people all the time. You get to a point where a line needs to be drawn in the sand because these people are maniacs and they're crazy.
Right, but at the same time, we're having this conversation. Somebody on the other side, two white guys who are also live streaming some podcast somewhere.
These niggers keep trying to get rights.
I mean, and in that reality is that is they're having a thing.
Reality, Zero. Why do you give a fuck about their reality? They don't give a fuck about your life. They want you to live.
No, because their reality is equally as valid. That their reality is the same. That okay, that's the thing. That the point is harder to make.
Can you take it out of the philosophical and put it into the real?
Okay, putting it into the real. Those guys
just said that their perspective is valid. That they don't believe we're human.
No. We're not talking about the hyper extreme guys.
You know
how. Okay, no, you know how. Look. You know how a couple weeks ago, right? When I
Yeah.
asked you if we would take all the racists and segregate them, how you were very pro that. You were like, that's what I believe. That's my thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you recall this?
Yes.
Okay. Still hold those beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That same viscera is not the same.
Let's ask the why. Why do I feel that way? Why do they feel that way?
You feel that way because your experiences as you've been alive in America have led you to a point of being pushed to not liking that other group.
It's not that I don't like them.
Do you like them?
No, I just want them to leave me alone.
Okay, but the way you want them to leave you alone is by pushing them.
No, not even that. Like in the hypothetical, if we can move them all to Florida, sure, cool. That's a fun hypothetical. Yeah. In reality, I know that's not real. So for me, it's like I don't even give a fuck if you exist around me. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Right, but their thing is like in the same.
We can't leave them alone. They're not human. They don't deserve rights. They're voting and shit.
It's the same way. Like, think of if you are those guys, right? If you're them, how are you getting away from black people? How do you make them leave you alone?
Kill them?
When every media outlet, you can't log into Netflix because Netflix is shoving it in your face. Can't log into Hulu. You can't log into any entertainment media without it being shoved down your throat. So you're dealing.
They've developed their own entertainment media, just in the same way we all have our own little like. They have Alex Jones, they have Tucker Carlson, they have all those people. They have media.
They have media, but even within that media, if I want to watch something entertaining, I have to put up with it. Because what is that all you get to? What if you're a Republican and you have your views, but you like stand-up, you like movies, you're fine with their beliefs. You have no problem with their beliefs. But every single thing is like, you're saying, leave me alone. You're saying, just leave me alone. But then you won't leave them alone. You're not leaving them alone.
What do you mean I'm not leaving them alone?
You're not leaving them alone. When you go outside and you use your speaker system and you say your points, which is perfectly fine, well within your rights as an American, and nobody should bother you for that. That's not leaving them alone.
I would say because at this point we've gotten to a place where now we have to speak out. We have to say, this is not fucking okay. There are kids, there's children out there being taught that black people deserve to be killed and that we're all communists that we're all lizard people. This isn't okay. And at a certain point, if you don't say, what's up?
There are also white kids and black kids being taught that white people are evil all the time. How many times have you heard the general statement, white people are evil? And we're okay with that one. We're fine with that one. Because historically, that makes it fine.
Well, I would say the first thing is the tone of historically is a little ridiculous because, yeah, historically, though, it is pretty bad.
But that's the thing. Is like you're still generalizing a whole group.
Right. And this is what I say at this point. And this is what I've been saying to the people on Omegle. What?
We have 30 seconds.
Oh. All right. Good night, Zero.
All right, guys. This has been A to Z, I guess.
We can start it up again.
Yeah. Just let it rock. Yeah, I'll just let it end. We're back, baby.
I say this to the like little Trump supporting kids on Omegle. Look, this isn't your fault. You're fucking 17, 16. You didn't do any of this. You didn't make any of this shit happen. But your parents, your mom, your dad, your uncles, your older brothers, your sister, like they have been the ones creating this pressure. That's why you're hearing all of this backlash. We all have a voice now because of the internet, and we haven't been heard for so long that now it's like booming. So yeah, I understand that hurts their feelings. I understand that. I understand why a like teenage white kid would feel the way they feel. I totally understand that. But we've gotten to a place where they have They're violent. They're crazy. They're out of hand. They are trying to stage a coup. A coup tried to be staged today. Terrorists attacked the Capitol, and they are being raised by these people. And that's what's really is disturbing to me. Is that like that the kids thing, the way you felt about like the idea of someone raping a kid, obviously is very disgusting, is how I feel when I talk to them. And they ask, they were the ones that actually want to have a conversation. I'm very sweet with, and I'm calm. I don't yell at them. I let them say their point. And consistently, there was this girl who was like, well, we're Christian and we don't support, you know, pro-choice and things like that. I was like, do your parents ever say nigger? And she looked down and looked embarrassed. And it was like, yeah. Okay, you're being raised by these people. You don't have anyone else around you that looks like you. You have this algorithm you're going down. I know. I don't go down these like, I know what you're saying. Philosophically, I know what you're saying. But these kids are being taught this rhetoric by these people. This is evil rhetoric. I think it's fair to say that someone is lesser because of their race is evil. And the reverse of that, if I want to throw you a bone there, yes, saying white people are all evil is not okay. Yes, of course. Of course.
All right. Okay.
Of course. Yes.
Well, you say of course. You say
yes.
Of course. Say of course.
Because but, it is gotten to, it is built, this pressure is built in such a way where it's like these kids, these children are going to grow up continuing this. This isn't going to stop. Because their parents are spewing what I believe to be an evil rhetoric.
Right. Then we also have to take responsibility. If we're going to high road, right? If we're going to go, don't do that, that's bad. Then we have to stop it on both sides. That's my main point. It's okay. The reason I fight to make the other side make sense, to go down the rabbit hole, to say, I'm not saying what they did today or in general is right. There's a lot of things that's been done on that side and in general that is like not okay. There's a lot of us who can agree on that. There's a lot of people who would still disagree. But I personally, again, you wanted to know my perspective. I personally feel like, again, when they mess up, they messed up. They did their thing. Those people need to be punished accordingly. And it needs to be handled the same way it would be handled regardless of race. Same with the other side. If there was a situation that was equal to this, then they should also be dealt with. The people who were actually looting should be dealt with, by the extent of the law. However, it's this thing where the reason that I feel like we have to come, if we want to break the cycle, because clearly it's a cycle, and like you're saying, it's older people teaching younger people have no idea, so they're just doing their thing, they're in their circles, and when you're raised with no influence from anything else, even though everything's influencing you and you have the internet and blah, 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 it's like all that stuff, you are kind of predestined to evolve into exactly what you're going to evolve in, then the cycle starts again, unless we break the cycle. But we're not going to break the cycle by doing what they did to us. We have to break the cycle by breaking the cycle. And it's like we have to go higher, and not even we, as in like like black people, like everyone needs to go higher.
I think I found the issue here, where we're miscommunicating. Right now,
okay,
what's happening and what has happened today, right now,
okay,
is that evil behavior.
It's bad behavior.
Okay. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. Sure, it's bad. Doesn't matter. Semantics.
I think semantics are important. I think people like to shoulder shrug semantics like they matter.
Yeah. What they're doing is bad. Would it be fair to say that they need to be dealt with?
Yes. That's perfectly fair.
And that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
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 All right. Good night, Zero. That's literally my anger and my frustration, my exhaustion is simply I'm being presently happening. As soon as another thing happens, we'll talk about that thing. Right
Yeah,
now,
but
it's happening.
do you understand the reason? I think the reason people, like, you have more conflict with people, like there's a lot more debate and discourse, is because your thing is like, yeah, let's deal with this thing right now. And dealing with this thing right now, yeah, we could do that, but then it'll just pop up again, and then we'll deal with that one, and then we just pop up again, and then we just deal with that one. Or we have these discourses, we think about the theories, we figure out each other's perspective, and we try to figure out the core stuff. And while we handle them, we also try to fix it.
I
It's
think
moving up. It's like going up.
I think then the people you should focus on are children because they're the ones who will change. I think that
Absolutely. And this is where we get into my crazy thoughts. I think we should take people's kids.
okay. But I think that at this point, if you're storming the fucking building wearing a moose hat, you are. I think it's fair to say, like, I don't know if you're gonna be convinced that the Earth isn't flat and shit. Like, if you believe lizard people are doing lizard people shit, and there's a certain point where I got to be like, I'm not gonna argue with you. Like, okay, you believe what you want to believe then. But these kids are the people that all of that philosophical stuff that you're talking about. Absolutely, I apply to those kids. To grown fucking adults, there's a certain point where you gotta say, all right, well, you're an adult. You're older than me. And I'm not gonna argue with this shit anymore. I'm not gonna argue why my life should matter to a grown fucking person. It's ridiculous. So
and I think this is just me inserting. I think you can't give up. I think that you lose the battle if you don't, like, because you admit it, like, they're the ones raising the kids. Even if you got,
so you go for the kids. I go for the kids.
I go for all. I go for all.
Cool, good for you. I go for the kids. I'm not giving up. I'm saying the kids are the ones that need to hear the information then, because these people are fucking crazy.
And I don't think they're beyond reproach. I think there's some within there. I think, like, it would take a long time, but I don't think they're beyond it.
I think you would have to experience I think on a personal level, you would have to experience the level of evil I personally experienced for you to know what I mean by, like, there are people out there who just, it's done.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
And I think that those experiences have handicapped you, and you can't. Like, you can't reach those people, and that's fine. We all have our, like, that's, you're good with the people that you're good with. I'm good with the people that I'm good with, in that same way as, like, because of our experiences. Not like
I say continue, move forward, doing what you're doing. I agree with you philosophically. Yeah, that's why we're still having this conversation. But reality, I believe in reality, the realism. You're the airy fairy guy. Cool. I'm being realistic here.
The pessimistic.
Sure. I think that realistically, if you are putting pipe bombs in the Capitol building, I don't think a conversation with me for I don't know how long will change that.
And I believe in rehabilitation.
Cool.
I believe you go to the place that we send people where you're supposed to be a relative, which is a whole nother issue. But
yeah, like, no, send them there. I support that. Send them away.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Send them away.
We've always been on the same page. You just want to fight me for some reason.
I never wanted to fight you. I actually didn't want to come on this thing to fight. I was going to be like, this is really sad. This is sad. This is fucking horrifying. It makes me fucking embarrassed to be American. This is fucking pathetic.
Yeah. But, and it's that thing where, like I said, like near the beginning, it's like, and it would be easy to do that. Like, this podcast could be the echo chamber that a lot of other podcasts are. We could just be another, like, yeah, this is bad and people are bad. But the reason that I always have to do the other side thing is because it is my belief system, but also because, like, again, it goes deeper and all that jazz. And it's like, yeah, we could talk about how it's, like, sucky and it's like really bad. And, like, it seems like, yeah, like you said, a dictatorship was avoided by the narrowest of margins, and we're not necessarily out of it if this is what is possible. Like, again, to me, And this is the conversation I was having with one of my Republican friends, or yeah, Republican friends, where she was like, she was like, yeah, this is what's happened. I was like, man, that's your people. She's like, well, you guys did something like that. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. I feel like your thing is definitely worse. Like your thing has definitely got actual weapons, which again, I'm just surprised only 4 people are dead. Like only 4 people are dead. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Because our things had like several. I don't know what the body count is, but it definitely wasn't 4.
I am going to have to go to sleep. Also, I lost my job today. So,
Totally unrelated to all that. I
Yeah.
also lost my job.
yep. So,
How did you, do you want, okay, real quick, just for the people who are curious, you can't just leave them on a cliffhanger and then bounce. What happened?
I'm an independent contractor, and that can end at any moment for any reason. And there is no reason. And I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. I asked, and they're like, we don't know.
They don't know?
That happens. That happens in my job. You can just lose your job.
Weird.
Yep.
So do they have a discourse for you? Like when a regular person gets fired, it's like, oh, here's
I'm not fired. I just don't have a job.
Huh.
If a job comes in, I have a job. If a job doesn't come in, I just don't have a job.
So you're like a freelance, except
Yeah.
you had like one consistent client,
Yes.
and that client dropped out on you.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So
how
I
do you
didn't.
go about getting new clients?
I work for an agency.
For those of you that don't know, Aaron
Yeah.
is an interpreter. He does stuff.
I work for an agency. They just send me the jobs, and I take the jobs. If it's an ongoing, then I do it ongoing. And they just decided, yeah, I'm trying to ruin your life. So
So do you contact the agency?
the agency will send me another job if one comes in. One has literally not come in since I got this job, and that's not normal. So, yep, it's bad. It's very, very bad.
Yeah. So what is the battle plan, and how does this affect, for those of you that don't know, the Chicago plan? Aaron's trying to move to Chicago at some point, but life keeps beating him up because that's life. But he'll get there. I believe in him. So what's the vibe? What's the move? Or are you just like, you're just kind of taking it in, trying not to lose your mind because of it right now?
This literally happened hours ago. So I'm gonna do street stand up now more, probably try to earn money that way. I'm gonna have to Postmates fucking again.
I forgot you used to Postmates.
Mm-hmm. Except now I have rent to pay. I'm not in my grandma's garage, so that makes it even harder. I literally had a 2-week break, so I haven't been working for 2 weeks. They really fucked me. So now it's a matter of.
So wait. Did they tell you like, hey, we're giving you 2 weeks, and then after that, when you're fired?
No. I had a 2-week break. I work for a school, so they had a 2-week break, so I just wasn't working.
Oh, okay, got it.
And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna hunker down, wait the 2 weeks, and then save up again, because I had to use my savings to just live for those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'm a couple days into work, and there you go. Your job's gone now.
Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah. 7 days into the new one, you guys. It's not looking good. My car got broken into. It's not as bad as your thing, but things are not on the up right now. But yeah, that's all right. Well then, yeah, I'll probably let you get your rest. If you want to talk about it more off or on the podcast, I'm here for you. Again, I'm glad you have a better support system around you when it comes to this thing. Because being with your grandma and your mom during this time would definitely be kind of icky. But I believe in you. So you're a resourceful man. You've managed to survive this long. I'm sure you'll find a way, one way or another. But yeah, words and things and stuff. All right, guys, that's been another wonderful episode of A to Z. So much positivity. This has really been a me episode. All right, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you who are watching this, I mean, you're not here right now, so you're watching it later. We appreciate you. You can find this podcast at exactly where you're watching it, the YouTube channel, Buddy System Comedy. There's also a lot of other great programming and podcasts. Aaron has a single person podcast, ACMM. He also does Night Guy and Baldy. And when the world was more normal, he did the Buddy Cast, but I don't know how they're even handling that. I'm Zero Remsen. You can find me at @0_KR Anime on Instagram and TikTok. Aaron Chase. You can find him at Aaron Chase 91 on Instagram and TikTok. All of that being said, we appreciate you for watching. Thanks for rocking with us, and fingers crossed that things start turning up. All right, guys. Later. Salut. Good night, Aaron.